I'm going to be addressing this issue from a spiritual perspective because this is a spiritual problem, not just a mental problem. Because the West looks at the mind as though it's its own separate thing, but the mind is a very spiritual thing. It is something that is given to us from our spirits. And so our minds are split. We have an ego mind, and we also have a mind that is able to provide us with things like intuition and channeling. Again, this is a spiritual video, so if you thought that this was just going to be like generic mental health and like tap off, you're probably like, who's this crazy lady with the white hair? Anyway, let's talk about, as you can see from the title, why you feel worthless. This ego mind that we have constructed, and you have an ego if you identify as a human being that has a name and is like, I have a family and this is my life story. You have an ego. Your ego is building a narrative about yourself to perpetuate the storyline that you are a body rather than a soul. Because if you believe down to your bones on a subconscious level that you are a soul, the ego has no place anymore. Then it's completely silent. It has no power over you and your life. So what the ego does to maintain control is it's noisy, and it tells you a bunch of falsities because the ego itself is a falsity. It is something that only exists to convince you that you are separate from God. But if you do the deep spiritual work, if you realize that you are the observer of everything that is going on around you, including the body, that you are not actually the body because you can't be something that you can observe, you are therefore a soul, and that soul is an extension of God. That's God consciousness. Okay, so if you're following me, the ego separates you from that God consciousness. And it has to work very hard to keep up that separation because that separation is your natural state. So, the ego tells you a bunch of things that are very not godlike. It's jealous. It's shameful. At the same time, it's prideful because shame and pride are the same exact energy being filtered through two different perceptions. It I think I already said that it's judgmental. It sometimes tempts you to do bad things. It encourages vices. It is addicted to many things, whether it be a substance or just negative beliefs or otherwise negative behaviors. If you believe that you are this ego, which is that voice in your head that is telling you that you are flesh and bones and that you are your life story, rather than believing that you are a soul that is an extension of God, you are destined to have low self-esteem. Because the worth that comes from any human being or any being at all, anything in creation, is that it comes from God, is that it is an aspect of God. But your ego is literally convincing you that you are not that. Your ego is literally convincing you that you do not come from the source of every worth in this world, every worth in this universe. I don't know if I phrased that correctly, but do you get the idea? Like, there's this one source that provides all of the worth, all of the value in the universe, and the ego is telling you, hey, by the way, you don't come from that thing. You come from me. And the ego is valueless. So, you have to work to break through your ego in order to actually find high self-esteem. How the hell do you do this? I'm not going to lie to you. Like, this might be a tough process, and it's not for everybody in this particular lifetime. Eventually, it is for everyone. But the process looks like evaluating your psyche. Most people repress the shit out of what is going on up here and here because it's painful. We go through things in life, like whether they're trauma or we consider them to be lesser evils, we just stuff them up and we don't deal with them because it hurts. But what ends up happening is that these things pile up and they convince you even more of the separation, the illusion that you are separate from God, and it just creates more anguish, and it manifests in horrible ways. Like, it manifests in relationships falling apart, in going down the wrong purpose in life, in poverty, just like division, fighting, war, even like horrible, atrocious things that are very not godlike. These things don't come from God, they come from the ego mind. So the only way out is going to be through. You're going to have to go back to your subconscious mind and get in touch with these deep emotions. This is not something that I'm going to be able to fully break down in this video. Sorry, my phone cut off the video for a moment. But this would be more so something that I would break down with somebody in a one-on-one coaching session. That being said, like, we are going to scrape the bare bones of it. You have to get down into your subconscious, as I said, and start feeling that shit. And you can feel it physically. Like, for me, it feels like I'm literally, like, digging parts of, like, my innards out and, like, excavating them. Or it can feel like a lot of heat in my heart. And when these feelings come up, for me, I feel just, like, a lot of pressure, like, either in my chest or in my stomach. And I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes it can be hellish, but on the other side, you start to see those glimpses of pure consciousness, of the stillness of the mind, and you start to experience real joy and divine love. And it's a form of bliss. And I mean, I'm just scraping the surface of what is possible, what I know is waiting for me at the end of this journey, or if I don't reach the end in this lifetime, what I reach as I get further and further down the journey. Once you start releasing these emotions, you're also going to be releasing your negative beliefs, which are causing the emotions. Because what's happening is that your ego is giving you all of these false truths to believe in. And of course you believe in them. And so you filter your energy through those beliefs rather than the beliefs that are just actually true. The beliefs that come from God. The beliefs that come from source, if you're uncomfortable with the word God. And so you end up manifesting these atrocities, things that aren't actually true to who you came here to be and who your soul is. And that just perpetuates a cycle where you feel even worse about yourself. Or like, sometimes things are going great in life on the outside, but you still feel like shit on the inside, and this is the reason. It's because deep down, subconsciously, you do not have a solid, firm belief that you are a child of God and you are not devoted to a spiritual practice that will remind you of that will reunite you with God spiritually, to remind you that you are not this flesh and blood, that this flesh and blood is just like a fucking avatar. You are actually a spirit. You have never left. You are actually safe and sound, and nothing that can happen to you on this 3D physical plane could ever hurt you spiritually, because your spirit is pure, innocent, and untouched. I think I broke that down reasonably enough. If you have any questions, then leave them in the comment section. I would love to hear from you guys, and I'll be making more videos like this. So thank you for watching. Bye.